Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to the Long Term Podcast. I'm your host, Adin Villa. Today, we have a University of Alberta education student on the campus Saint Jean, Thomas Lafreniere. We will discuss finding community, education, ADHD, motivation, and mental health. Everybody, welcome. Welcome.
Thanks.
Thomas Lafreniere.
Lafreniere, yeah.
Everyone. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm an education student at the University of Alberta at the campus Saint Jean. That's going well. I'm about in my second or third year. It's a little messed up, taking some shorter or less course intensive semesters. Otherwise, I sing in a choir. I like hanging out with friends. Just a guy,
Yeah.
It's not the
I know you had just invited me for that sports event, and that was amazing. That was great. That was tons of fun. You guys have a community there, a great community, and from what you've told me, you didn't always have that, right? So can you tell me what that is like?
Yeah, so I think growing up, you have your school community and your friends, but then also parents who help out there, and for us it was also part of a religious community. And after middle school or primary school and then high school, I felt a big lack of that community. I didn't have anybody outside my close circle, which I always thought would kind of just be fine. I thought I was a little bit of a more insular person in that way, where I only needed a couple of people. And then I just started feeling over a couple of years feeling pretty lonely. And then I started going to the French campus, and it's I think it's a little hard to make friends in university. It's a big place. You're not quite used to it. But slowly over time, I started coming out to people, getting to know them, and they started to get to know me, and my circle grew a bit, and then I joined the Francophone choir, the Chorale Saint Jean, which is really super fun. We sing a bunch of folk music, a bunch of folk, but also transition to a more contemporary style, some classical music. That's really fun. But the interesting part was that filled the void that I was missing, that I honestly didn't really know that I was missing that. Now in hindsight, I feel much more complete in
Liberated.
Now that I pardon?
Liberated? Would that
Liberated,
be? Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I'm the same way, where I kind of, during around the pandemic area or timeline, I felt disconnected with the things around me, and when I did interact with people, there is something missing. And I was in this pit and I was just only hanging out with only a select few people, and they're great friends, but I didn't have that community bond, right? Where there's 10, 20 people working towards something. And you had said choir. Choir is something where you're actively working, striving towards this piece.
Yeah.
And when I don't have that community, now I do. This podcasting is a community. When I go to the gym, it's a community. When I didn't have that established, I felt lonely as well. And you can hang out with a buddy, and while that reduces loneliness, you guys just sit around and when there's no objective, you just play video games. You guys just eat. It's just, sure, it's great. It's great to have friends like that. But when you don't have that objective, right? Because that's kind of what a community is. Right? You guys work towards
Yeah,
a common goal.
Yeah, it's like working together. It's working for and with each other.
Yeah.
To do something bigger. Yeah.
Like the mentality of striving towards something bigger than yourself. Like everybody wants to be part of that.
Yeah.
Like I think that's this podcast too. The premise of it is just something bigger. Right? It's not just the vain stuff. Like we care about looks, or we care. No, we care about the life that extends beyond our mental capacity.
Yeah, and I think community really gives life to not only yourself but to others, and it's that sharing of that is so like special. And that's really what I find important about community is that bond.
How did you go about finding your community at the University of Alberta, specifically at Saint Jean? Because there's all these different facets, right? There's running, there's chess, there's instruments, and then there's choir, which you have found to be the best route.
So I guess I'll start with like originally I wanted to do music in university. Like I just wanted I wanted to go to MacEwan for that, and that didn't really pan out. But then I started going to the French campus because I decided I wanted to go into education, and my major there is the major is education, but then like you have like a minor that's in a different domain. So like mine is the major in education with a fine arts domain. And so part of fine arts is music. And so I learned that I can get credits for music courses by taking choir, because it's led by one of the professors. And his name's Lode Fangya. He's a great guy. And so I just, I wrote him an email saying like, hey, can I join the choir for some credits? And he's like, yeah. We can have you start in January. And I was like, great, sounds good. And I joined, and I was a little nervous because it's actually
scary. Hey,
it's super scary. Yeah,
when you're going through a new job or a new school, a new club, a new endeavor, you don't know what to expect. You have all these things where, okay, this is gonna be the types of people that I'll meet, and this is gonna be the types of things that we'll explore, but you don't actually fully know until you're immersed in it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was super scary because like it's a francophone choir, so everybody speaks French. Like it all happens in French. And I was raised in English, even though I speak French. That's only through school that I did that. And so it was like my first time really being in the francophone community and like speaking to people about things that aren't school in French. And so that was really nerve-wracking. There's 60 people in the choir, so like just like a huge group.
60. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. A huge group. So that was really nerve-wracking. I wasn't super confident in my singing ability. Like I knew that I could sing, but I didn't know if they were gonna be like absolutely amazing. And they are absolutely amazing. But now like I've kind of like built my ability up, and like I can hang with them.
And you don't know whether am I gonna make enemies here?
Well, yeah.
Like, what are they gonna think? Are they gonna think I'm not a good singer?
Yeah, like I thought like I was scared that people were gonna be mean or
of course,
which is kind of silly because like why would somebody be
mean? And the people that are mean, it's just like you don't want to be friends with those people.
Exactly,
right? And like that's what I found.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with the clubs, even with the school, being on campus, the people that are kind, the people that are good, that want you to do well, they're in abundance. And the people that want to put you down, they're so rare.
Exactly, yeah.
Even if that does come, I find people actually band together and like what to expect from that person.
Yeah.
Like, hey, did you hear about Advin? Yeah, he's biggest dick, and then you tell that, oh, okay, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
and people just try to stay away from that person.
Yeah.
Can you share a story where your community has helped you through times of difficulty?
Um, so I don't know if the community itself, like, they like really banded together to help me. It's just that when I was feeling down, that's when I found the community. Um, and like it was really the finding of the community that brought me out of the kind of slump that I was in. Um, because like I just had like a horrible semester of school.
I feel it,
Uh,
Doug. Yeah.
and like it was really rough. Just middle of winter blues, like
Dude, I've been there. We all been there.
yeah. And so I, joined the choir, and like it was just a really low time and then a great experience in that low time that brought me up to like a really a much much better like level. Um,
They didn't necessarily like help you during, like you didn't necessarily seek them for advice,
yeah,
but they were there when you didn't feel adept. You didn't feel
yeah,
as uplifted.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's where I find community helps too, is you don't have to tell people, air out all your dirty laundry, right?
yeah,
The fact that
exactly.
you can go there and just have a conversation with
Mm-hmm.
people, and that it's great. I'm sure like if you wanted, you could tell them what you're going
Yeah,
through,
yeah,
but
probably.
yeah, but it's just those are the times you forget about the monotony,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the frustration, the down points in life. And when you're a part of that group and you guys are singing together and you
Mm-hmm.
guys are trying to get each other's voices to synchronize,
Mm-hmm.
it's such a beautiful experience. And
Yeah.
just everybody's got to find something. There's always something for everyone,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And
Mhm.
I think like if you don't have a community, I say like just try any like everything. Like,
Yeah.
even if like you don't really think you're gonna be into it, maybe you meet somebody and
Hmm.
they'll become a great friend. Or
Yeah.
like go to classes, or
Yeah.
go to the gym, like, or try something new, and
Put
you'll be
yourself
you'll
out
be
there.
surprised
Hmm.
about the people you meet, because as you
Hmm.
said earlier, like,
Hmm.
mean people are really rare.
Rare. Yeah.
Most people are, if you approach them with kindness, will reciprocate.
Yeah.
And
Because they're thinking the same thing. They're
yeah,
going, that guy's probably going to be mean to me, so I'm
yeah,
going to get my guard up.
yeah. Most
Hmm.
people are also afraid of other
Yeah.
people being mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I found out. And that's learning that one of the biggest thing I've learned is
Hmm.
majority of people will welcome you open arms
Yeah.
unless you're dick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, um, I know we touched up on it a little bit, but
Hmm.
what advice would you give to students who are struggling to find their place in a university?
Um, sit like things you could do would be like sit next to somebody in class and just like talk to them. Like,
Yeah. Look over.
look
Yo.
over and be like,
Mhm.
hey, like,
Mhm.
it's really that easy.
Mhm.
And I know it's super nerve-wracking, but
Mhm.
that's what I did, and I've met some great friends, and um, joined clubs at the university. Um,
Mhm.
try things that you don't think you'll enjoy, because
Mhm.
maybe you'll be surprised and you
Mhm.
do.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's really it. I think that's the biggest thing, is like trying new things, because
Mhm.
I think you'll be really surprised by the
Yeah.
outcome.
Put yourself out there.
Yeah, put yourself out
What's the
there.
worst thing that could happen? You
Exactly.
don't make a friend. You don't like the club. You don't like the activity. So what? Maybe
Yeah.
the other outcome is you made a friend. You like the
Yeah.
club. You sharpen up your skills instead
Mhm.
of just going home and feeling sorry for yourself. There's
Mhm.
always a way. There's
Mhm.
always a bond that can be shared. There's always a person in your lecture. Even
Mhm.
if you're walking outside, there's people that will say good morning to you. Put yourself out
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, and I
Hmm.
think I think it's really important to like kind of know that the world is out there waiting for you. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to come to you. Like,
No.
you
Yeah.
have to be active in your search.
Hmm.
Um
Hmm.
yeah.
There are opportunities, but they won't come walking to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. There's like right now, where else in the world can you go for music lessons? Can you
Yeah.
go to the gym? Go swimming? You
Yeah.
got the Millennium Place here in Sherwood Park. You could go rock climbing at Vincent. You could go on a run outside.
Yeah.
Right? You could in the winter you could build a snowman. Like there's so much opportunity out there, and it's just that fear. Right? We've got that fear
it's a
of
lot
just
of fear.
like, oh, what if this? What if that? What if anything? We could die at any day.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like,
Out of all the paths, what inspired you to choose education as a field of study?
oh, well, so I said earlier that I was planning on doing music,
Mhm.
and so but I needed to practice piano more. Like I needed to have a higher Royal Conservatory level, um, and I just couldn't dedicate myself to that because I had to go up like 8 levels in like a year, which is insane. Um, but in the meantime, I was just working. I was working as a receptionist at a law firm, and I was going to McEwen, just in general studies, and general studies was really hard just because there was no like end goal. Like I was just like going to class for the sake of going to class.
There was no end.
Yeah.
And it seemed that it was a waste of time, right?
It did.
Why study
Yeah,
for
it
this
felt
class?
like
I'm
that.
not working towards a degree of anything.
It did kind of feel like that a bit, and so that and then COVID hit,
Yeah.
and then I failed like 2 of my last 5 courses, and I didn't, or sorry, that was like after the first year. The next year, I just went into general studies for again. I failed out. Like
You're not alone. I've heard many stories.
Yeah. So by November, I told my parents, I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I haven't like even been to class in a month because it was
Yeah.
all online. I couldn't like make myself do it. It was super difficult. I was in like a really low spot. And so they were like, okay, like just withdraw from your courses before like you actually fail and it goes in your permanent transcript, and find a job. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I struggled finding a job for a bit, and luckily my mom is in education, and so she was like, hey, you can work as an EA. Like all you need is a high school diploma for that. I was like, all right, well I can try. And so I got what's called a permanent substitute position, where it's like you go to the school and then you don't like have like a specific placement you're in. You're just kind of there and helping where they need. You're just an extra pair of hands, really. And so I did that for the 7 months left in the school year, and that's really where I found that education was calling to me.
It's your niche.
Yeah. And I think education was always like plan B, but I never wanted it to become plan A. I think mostly just out of stubbornness, because my mom always wanted me to be a teacher. And I don't know. I guess I just didn't know. I didn't want to do what my mom wanted for me.
Yeah, often when our parents tell us we'd be great at something or they want us to do this, we kind of fight back a little bit. We're like, I don't want to do what you tell me.
Exactly.
I do anything what you tell me. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was fighting back a bit, and then after those 7 months, I was just like, oh, this is like, this is what I want, and this is for me.
What about it? Is it just you like helping the kids?
I think just being in the classrooms and like seeing kids like light up when they understand something like that. Something about that is just so fulfilling and so rewarding, and honestly, I've always loved school, even though it's been really hard for me. I've always liked the environment, and I like that I can like go there. I like how the days are structured. I like,
Dude, it's great. I mean, one thing I really miss is high school. You show up there, everyone's there, all your friends. You don't have to, like, after high school, you gotta plan out. People are working, different classes. It doesn't line up. When you do show up to classes, you won't know anyone there. Maybe you'll know one or two people, but the chances are very low. But the structure for kindergarten, elementary,
Yeah.
high school. It's beautiful, man. And while
Yeah.
a lot of people seem to trash the education system, it's great. Like I've found
Yeah.
a lot of great people on there, and it's one of those things where it is structured for you, and you go to every single class and you have bonds with these people there and you grow up with them, right? And I was just hanging out with my buddy Jeff, and Jeff G, if you remember him. Yeah, we a lot of the conversations that we have are just reminiscing the things that happened in elementary, in middle school, and high school. And it's great. And I feel like at university too, you're gonna be talking to your friends now, and you're gonna later in the future, and you're gonna look back and go, wow, choir was such a fantastic experience.
Yeah.
Wow, like being an EA, being a part of the St. Jean campus, you feel connected, and that's something that you can't take away, right? It's already instilled. What do you plan to do with the education degree?
Oh, well, be a teacher. Like, there's really only one, path.
I mean, you could be a lawyer.
Then I have to get a law degree. And
You could still get go to MCAT, write an MCAT. You could,
no, thanks. I said earlier I worked at a law firm, and that was enough, like, even proximity.
I remember you were telling me some, like, this one case, right? Or I guess you're not allowed to disclose it.
Not allowed to disclose. I could, like, give.
But you could give me like a general, like, but those probably hear some wild stories on there, hey?
Yeah, it was a family law firm, and just the stuff you'd hear was.
Yeah,
it's like really like
straight out of the
heart-wrenching.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, that big of a deal over that thing.
Yeah.
Out of all the teachers that you've had in your life, who's the best?
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's hard.
Top three.
Top three? I can give. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Okay, let's just say top three not in order.
Yeah.
And there's probably more, but you're just gonna mention what's on your mind right now.
I think Ms. Coles was definitely one of them. I think Mr. Gabinet. And honestly, I only had him for about 2 weeks before I dropped out of the class, but I think Mr. Billick was an amazing teacher. Yeah.
And then you mentioned Mr. Gabinet. Attitude is latitude. I still repeat that here and there. I go, that's a really good statement.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
There's definitely a lot of teachers out there, great ones, and there's some awful ones.
Yeah, for sure.
But a lot of the great teachers that I have gotten to know have influenced my life in such a phenomenal way.
Yeah.
Like,
I think teachers have a position in which they can influence a life dramatically, like extremely positive or negatively. Because, like, school is kind of like childcare. Like,
yeah, bro.
Like, teachers are the adult in the room with your child 8 hours a day, 10 months out of the year. So, like, a teacher becomes so important in a child's life for that year that, like, it's almost like a deification of the teacher, which can be great if you're, a happy teacher and, want the kids to succeed and want them to be happy, but can be really bad if you're, if you're kind of, crotchety, or
you went for it for the wrong reasons.
And if you weren't, if you didn't become a teacher because you felt a calling to be a teacher, then I think you can become very jaded very quickly. And I've seen it happen to people I've worked with and people I'm, in education with, who, like, told me I don't really know, if I want to be a teacher, and I'm like, then just, like, don't. Like, if you're unsure, then, like, you should probably not, because your impact on future kids' lives is so immense that if you are not fully and completely invested in their success and their happiness and their well-being, then it is not um, worth it for you and not good for them if you are not 100% sure on being a teacher. Yeah.
It's the sunken cost effect, right? Where
Yeah,
you're
for
2 3 years into your degree, and you just keep going. Then fourth year rolls
Yeah.
by, and it's too late. And then you have
Mhm.
these teachers that go into the profession, and they do not like kids, and you can clearly tell they
Yeah.
don't have the patience for it. They are abrupt. They're impatient.
Mhm.
They make the kid feel not that they shouldn't be themselves within
Yeah.
the class.
And
And that's
small.
I've had teachers like that.
Yeah.
When I was in grade 3, just the teacher just wasn't nice.
Yeah.
Like wasn't just I looking back now in retrospect, we have all those teachers, right, that were mean and that were like some were mean, but they had like they cared, but some
Yeah.
were also just hard asses.
Mhm.
But they didn't care at all. And then you
Mhm.
have all these teachers with their different personalities. And now looking back now, there were the teachers that were on top of their ball game, where
Mhm.
they had the quizzes marked right away,
Mhm.
the tests, and the essays were
Mhm.
just thoroughly they wanted you to do well.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see now that we've matured, and now we have so many people that we went to school with that are actual teachers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you soon to be, you are going to be a teacher as well,
Hopefully,
with
yeah.
your own full class.
Yeah.
What type of teacher are you going to embody?
You know, I want to try my best to make school easy for my students.
Free A's?
Not free A's. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like I want them to be excited to go to school. I want them to feel safe in school. I want them to be able to make mistakes so that they can learn from them. Um, I want students who have difficulties like learning disabilities or, you know, their special needs. I want them to be able to succeed to the best of their capabilities. And I just want to be the best guide I can to to the kids, and be able to fulfill their needs, whatever they may be.
Mm-hmm. Every kid has their own role to
Yep.
fulfill, and it is the teacher's job, whether they're teaching math, science, social, language arts, to bring their talents and their weaknesses
Yep.
to surface and to recognize what they are passionate about. And as you said, you need to get these kids excited to show up the next day.
Exactly.
Whether it be there's a little contest that they might get fired up, and maybe there's an audio learning, more visual, more interactive, more just community building. And while you're not gonna ensure that every single kid likes you as a teacher, because there's always gonna be kids that go, hey, Mr. Lafreniere, I don't know, not my cup of tea. You do your best to get the majority to find their own path in life, and that's we need more teachers or soon to be teachers like you, man. And how many more years until?
I mean, I still have to do my two. Can't remember the English word. My two student teachings.
Okay, student teaching.
That's a semester each. Hopefully, I can do my first one by January next year. I still have a couple more courses I need to take. We'll see. Maybe I'll take a 3-course semester next semester. This semester didn't go too well for me, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm kind of playing it by ear. I'm taking my time, and the goal is just finishing. I'm not really concerned about how much time it takes.
Hey, life is a marathon, man. It's not a race. Right?
Yeah.
Definitely that's where people get the idea of success wrong, is they think that, oh, you're some sort of under a timeline to complete a degree, to be a millionaire, to be someone who you expected. Because when you're in high school, you have this framework of, okay, this is at this age, I'm gonna get a job, or I'm gonna go to university. At this age, I'm gonna get married. This age, I'm gonna have kids. Who decided that? That's just what's funneled to you by media, by just the movies that you've seen, kind of the people that you've talked to. But really, a lot of people don't ask themselves, what do I want? Right? Like, it's not a race. Like, you gotta find what you truly want, and then you can decide, right, what kind of trajectory you'll take, and how fast, how slow.
Yeah, success doesn't happen overnight, and it never ever will. You take your time, because the important part is that you succeed. It doesn't matter how long it takes.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It could take you your entire life, but if that makes you happy, great. And it could take you within 5 years or whatever, because success is very subjective. You can have a person that lives in their van, travels around BC, and they are happier than the person that makes millions but is miserable, right? And that's what I've learned in from all the people that have been on this podcast. Everybody's got their role, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their niche, and everybody just needs to ask the right questions to themselves. Is this what I want?
Yeah.
Is this how does this activity make me feel? How does the group of people am I excited to go to this every day? And if I'm not excited, is this something that I can bear after 10, 20 years? What's my goal? What's my just self-introspection? Right?
Yeah. I think it's really important to be introspective in that way, because if you're not, you're gonna maybe be a teacher when you probably shouldn't have been.
You just succumb to, okay, I need to finish at this time, and I can't switch programs because
then I won't finish on time.
Yeah, and then I won't finish on time, and what are my parents gonna think? What are my friends gonna think? Am I gonna make enough money? So what? Like, stop caring about money. Stop caring about what your parents think. Think about you. What do you want? Right? I know I've been like that. So I know where these people are coming from. Yeah. And it's a dark place. It's scary place.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it took me until towards the middle of last semester to finally be able to say okay, as long as I finish, that's the important part. But I'd already been in university for the past 4 or 5 years now. It's been a while, and I just came to that point. It's really hard to come to that, but it's super important that once you do, I think there's a freedom to it. It's like a release that just get there.
Once you establish that foundation, and it may take 20, 30 years.
Yeah, it may take a really long time.
But you can't just let life dictate what's good for you.
Yeah.
You have to find it from within. What is ADHD, and when did you find out you had ADHD?
I found out late in my life. But first, ADHD is attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. So you might hear it as ADD, which is kind of not real. It's the difference between Asperger's and autism. They're really the same thing. Just ADD is on a different part of the spectrum as ADHD.
So when people say I have ADD, it's the same thing as saying
it's just ADHD, but they were just diagnosed with less hyperactivity. They're somewhere on it's like a spectrum, and they're somewhere on the spectrum.
Fair.
It manifests in a lot of different ways. For me personally, it's more of the attention deficit. Focusing is really hard. But then also, you know what executive functioning is?
Executive functioning is just planning, coordination in the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot your in psychology.
Right?
Yeah. So, ADHD affects
Planning.
planning and executive functioning, and basically the biological way it works is your dopamine receptors don't work 100% properly. You don't get a reward sense when you make a plan and follow through with it, or
So you make a plan for, let's say, to finish a project,
yeah,
and you finish that project. It's that dopamine.
like there's no like satisfaction. There's like happiness that I'm not going to be anxious about it anymore. But that's like there's no like, man, I did a good job. Like that's not really there for me.
So it must have been weird growing up to find all these people that did get that dopamine hit when they did finish a project, and when you finished a project, it was just that the burden was lifted, but you weren't necessarily happy about it.
Yeah, exactly. Or like getting good marks in school. Like my friends would be really excited when they got an A, and then I'd do pretty well on a project, and I'd be like, nice. I didn't get a C this time, but like it wasn't like, man, I did so good. Like I'm proud of myself. Like that's not a thing that happens for me.
You said it was you were on the more of the attention deficit.
Yeah.
So do you have trouble paying attention to lecturers, school notes?
For sure. So definitely paying attention is a really hard thing. Like I just get lost in my own mind. Like they'll be talking and I'll be like trying really hard to focus, and then they'll say one word and I'm off. I'm like on the other side of the world thinking about something completely different. And then I'll tune back in 10 minutes later, like,
whoa, where are we?
Exactly. Like I haven't been paying attention for the past 10 minutes.
That's me my entire elementary, middle school, and high school, and then I have to catch up the night before the exam, cramming. When you could actually, cramming could work back then, not in university.
Cramming is not the play.
See, for me, I think I had, the way you described it, I was the same way. When I arrived in Canada in grade 3, and same thing, the teacher would be talking all the way until high school. And I can't help but think it is self-induced for me, because I was playing a lot of League of Legends. I was playing a lot of Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
And when I wasn't doing that, I was on my phone playing chess, playing this hunting game with the deer, playing Clash Royale, of Clans. So how do you know if it's actual ADHD or you just have a low attention span and you've just kind of screwed up your brain from this constant just screen time there and just no rest?
So what screen time does to your brain is that it heightens your cortisol levels, because basically your brain can't tell the difference between a tiger and your phone screen. So your stress, like your chemical stress levels go way up, and that gives you like the rush when you're playing video games. Whereas ADHD is, sorry, back it up.
Cortisol, you're talking about cortisol, how like your brain isn't able to tell.
Sorry. So cortisol, it doesn't like quite fry your dopamine receptors like people say it does. It just like elevates your stress levels. And so like you play video games until 2 a.m, your stress levels are way, way up. Even though you don't like feel stressed, you go to sleep, your cortisol levels are so high.
Oh, every night, in high school at least.
You go to sleep, your cortisol levels are so high that your brain doesn't actually go into a proper REM sleep, because
we were in games at those times.
Yeah, we were.
Shout out to Cam.
And so you don't get proper sleep, and so that will affect you the next day, and it's just like a compounding thing.
You just keep doing that.
And you just keep doing it because like you don't actually feel like you're in front of a tiger,
But how is
so? ADHD is different in that your reward receptors are fried. So I play video games and I get rewards for playing video games. It's like, I get that next rank in League, or I open chess in Clash Royale and I get what I want.
Just picture you.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And so that gives me rewards. Like there's also like, you know, um, food sometimes will give you a reward, like sweet things,
Mhm.
like give you a dopamine rush. And so like the difference between, just having low attention span is just you have a low attention span. ADHD is a actual physical thing in your brain, and the way to tell a difference, go to a doctor, because they have a list of things. Like one of them is like, do you for example finish people's sentences before they're done?
No.
No. So I do that all the time,
Mhm.
um, because my brain, because ADHD is also a miswiring of the brain. It's really complex and difficult. I think you can basically think of it as like I think really fast and I have no breaks,
Mhm.
and so my brain is constantly going, and that's where the attention deficit comes from, because I can't slow down. But you can kind of like recenter yourself and slow down and be like, okay,
Mhm.
wait.
Mhm.
But for me, it takes much longer to do that, and it's only like through sometimes luck that I realize that, oh, I'm not focusing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are there just constant thoughts? Like as soon as you wake up in the morning, is it like, okay, I gotta do this. Oh, I gotta do that. Oh, I gotta do this. And
Yeah.
then, okay, oh, what was that thing yesterday? Oh, that was a good song. And then
Yeah. It's kind of
constant.
like that. And so like sometimes I'll be like, I'll, grab my water bottle from upstairs and be like, and think like, okay, I have to go get my protein powder from downstairs.
Mhm.
I go downstairs, I forget what I'm doing. And I
Mhm.
don't know why I'm downstairs. I just came downstairs with my water bottle.
Because your brain is so overactive that
Exactly.
you miss
I just
certain
lose
things.
track of
You
my
lose
thoughts.
track. Is do you are, is it common for people with ADHD to have insomnia? Because since your brain is running so much,
Um,
or maybe it's running so much that it is easy to sleep.
I think some people have insomnia. Like my dad has ADHD. He has really bad insomnia sometimes.
Mhm.
My sister also has really bad insomnia. I have never really struggled with that. I'm a
Okay.
pretty sleepy person. Like I like having 8 hours of sleep, and I try really hard to
You need
commit to
to
that.
sleep's the foundation to mental
Yeah,
and physical health.
yeah. Um, and so I like have a routine that I have to stick to, because if I don't, then I'm just not
Beautiful.
not there the next day.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I relate hard.
yeah, yeah,
Can you talk about how ADHD has impacted your learning and education?
yeah. School was and is really hard. Because like I've only ever been like a C plus B minus student, even though like I know that I am smarter than that, but it's the focus and uh, the motivation that goes into the work that is lacking, because I don't have the executive functioning skills, so I can't. So I can try my best to plan to do homework, when I get home,
Mhm.
but then I get home, my computer's right there, and I can
Start up some league,
start set up a league
some
game,
Rift,
or yeah, yeah.
yeah, some
Or
Valorant,
watch
Counter
some
Strike,
YouTube, or
yeah,
like do I
Mr.
because
Beast.
because my brain's searching for those
Mhm.
you know reward
That
systems, those
stimulation.
stimulation and the reward, and so I'm just kind of magnetically attracted to that, rather than doing homework, which is like the complete opposite of like
Mhm.
that. It's just a slog that I
Bro,
don't want to do.
you are not alone. And I
Yeah,
do appreciate how honest you are about it.
yeah.
Man. Like I know grades are one thing that a lot of students are insecure about.
Hmm.
I'm the same way. I'm like I'm a B minus,
Yeah.
around the B area kind of. And for me, I don't have ADHD.
Mhm.
I just don't try as hard,
Yeah.
And it's just I could try harder, but it's just so tough,
Yeah, it's
sometimes.
really
Yeah,
hard. And
yeah,
like I think
mhm,
I think it's really hard for everybody, not just people with ADHD,
yeah,
to try hard. And some people
mhm.
um try hard in school, and then just like, everything else goes to the wayside. Like,
Oh yeah, you need
they're like
balance. Yeah.
they don't have like a social life,
Hmm.
or they are really in poor health physically.
Hmm.
Um but maybe you don't, try as hard in school, but you try so hard in your physical activity,
Oh, I do.
right?
Yeah.
Like I saw you ran 15 kilometers yesterday. It's like
Yeah. But
that
10K
like
today too.
yeah.
But
So
it's
like
just I enjoy that stuff.
well,
Yeah.
exactly. But it's like
Mhm.
some people enjoy school and some people
Mhm.
don't, and I think it's okay to not give 100% in everything that you do because you can't.
You can't. There's sacrifice. If you do want to be great
Yeah.
at something, there are sacrifices.
Yeah.
And sometimes those sacrifices can be the cost of your happiness. And is that the
Exactly.
burden
Is
that you
that
want to
worth
take?
it?
Is that
Like,
worth it? Yeah.
I don't think straight A's for me are worth,
Yeah.
sacrificing my friends,
Not going to
sacrificing
choir.
my physical health,
Yeah,
sacrificing my,
yeah.
activities like choir. Like,
Mhm.
that's just not worth it for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to finish
Yeah,
because,
dude.
I'm sure that I will eventually, be able to get a job.
Okay. You still game?
Yeah.
Yeah, you still on the Discord servers with
Oh,
the
yeah.
boys? Yeah.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing?
Oh, they're doing great.
Yeah. League?
Yeah, League,
Yeah.
lots of League. Just hit
Valorant?
gold 2 yesterday.
Yeah. Wait, gold 2?
Yeah.
Dude, what role?
Mid.
Mid?
Yeah.
Which champ?
Syndra.
Sandra.
Yeah.
Dude, man. Is it the community still toxic?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Same old.
It's actually gotten kind of better, I think. People don't forfeit games as often.
Okay, nobody's inting as much.
Honestly, less inting, at least in gold, less inting, less forfeiting.
Okay.
Like people will gold to like 40 minutes now. Like 40
I heard
minutes.
Cam hit diamond. Hey, was that last year?
Last year.
Dude, that's impressive, man.
Yeah.
Can't imagine, dude. I think he was playing like Karthus or something.
Yeah, he's almost grandmaster in TFT too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, he's really good at TFT.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've been telling that guy to stream, man. Like stream.
I know. And he's
of
like, I
views.
want to, and it's like, then do it, bro.
Do it,
Like it doesn't have to be
yeah.
perfect right now.
Of course. How do you think the school system can better support people with ADHD?
Oh, honestly, hire people like me.
Yeah?
Yeah. Hire teachers with ADHD.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so hard to understand what it's like as someone who's not neurodivergent.
You don't fully know a condition until you go through it yourself.
Yeah, or at least experience it vicariously through someone close to you.
Yeah.
I think that also helps because like you asked earlier, the type of teacher I want to be. I want to be someone who can make school easy, but especially for people like me, where school is really hard. Because there were definitely things I could have done to make my life easier, but also I was 6 to 14 years old, or whenever we graduate, 17 years old.
You didn't know.
I didn't know. I didn't even know I had ADHD until I was 19. So I went through my whole life not knowing. I just thought like I was bad at school. And it's like now there's an actual reason. I was still bad at school, but there's like a reason behind it.
There's an answer.
There's an answer. Like, no, I'm not stupid or dumb, or I'm actually like it is an explainable reason as to why school is hard. It's not like the content that's hard, because I never felt
solutions.
And I have solutions now, because I never felt like the content was hard. And for people with ADHD, oftentimes the content is easy. Like, learning is easy. It's the funneling of that information onto the page, or the focusing of that, brain onto, what they're doing, or the structuring of a plan to make, just school a little easier for them. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, we need more teachers in the school system who have all these conditions so they can relate to the children and they can empathize better with what they're going through. You are a part of how many clubs are you part
of? Just choir.
Choir, and then there's also the Saint Jean. You're also like
that's
a lot of clubs for that, or
I was gonna join the student union, but I decided not to. I felt like my the reason why I wanted to wasn't like a very good one. So
fair. you have ADHD.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you for opening about that and discussing that on here. Uh, how do you remain motivated despite having all the responsibility with choir, with
Mhm.
your friendships, family, school?
Mhm. So motivation is really tricky, especially with ADHD, because like I, I'm attracted to things that aren't school and aren't, well, work, and it may like seem to somebody looking outside like I'm lazy, and it might just be a difference of opinion, but I don't really like see like somebody who's unmotivated as somebody who's lazy, um, because laziness personally, I think, is a little bit of an indulgence. Like, I, spend the whole weekend like doing yard work and then um, practicing for choir and doing homework. And then like the Monday, I don't have class. And it's like, well, I don't like, I want to rest and like recover and kind of like be kind to myself in a way. And that's what I think like laziness, like have a lazy day. Like that's what I think like actual yeah, that's what I think laziness is. And I think laziness can be like a good thing in some ways, like as a reward. I think unmotivated is like the real problem. Um, because somebody can, because, motivation or unmotivation comes from a bunch of different sources. It can be, external sources like, um, the work you have to do is really difficult, or, you're in a really bad or really poor environment, or, um, I don't know. I'm losing track of my thoughts here.
There's a lot of uh, reasons for being unmotivated that
Yeah,
may not be the person's fault, and we just have to empathize with those
exactly.
people. And you
Yeah.
had mentioned that laziness,
Hmm.
that is actually what enhances your productivity because you get time to
Yeah.
relax and you have time to. But when I think of laziness, though, I think of like not doing any schoolwork for weeks at a time, months at
Hmm.
a time, and then maybe I think that's the kind of the it depends the meaning too.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
yeah.
It's all about like meaning. I think because like I had times in my life where, um, to you I'd be lazy, but like to me it's like I would desperately love to do work, but
Mhm.
I just can't.
Mhm.
Um, because I'm just so like I just lack the motivation.
Of course.
Um, and then because like internally I was in like a really low place. I was, stuck in my bedroom. Like I never went upstairs. I never talked to my
Mhm.
family. I was really in a poor place, and I just couldn't get myself out of, that hole I was in.
Mhm.
Um, but I think really laziness is like a choice, and unmotivation is a little bit less of a choice.
Mhm.
Um, because like I could choose to do something that isn't work, but that's being lazy. You know.
There's a lot of ways that people go about their days, and you had said that there are you were at a point where it was difficult for you to get out of bed, and you
Mhm.
know what that's like, and you
Mhm.
know kind of the self-talk associated with that,
Mhm.
and to view these people as not as adding a label to them,
Mhm.
right? But just viewing them as people that do want to do good, that do want to
Yeah.
strive and get a degree and do,
Mhm.
but they can't, they need help,
Yeah.
right? And it's just, it's tough. And definitely mental health is a big thing that people need to prioritize.
Mhm.
Um, who are the people in your life that give you strength during these times where you are low? Like, how do they keep you motivated? And
Um. So I mean, it's something that like I struggle like coming out about emotional stuff with people. Like I don't like I'm not a big sharer about how I'm feeling. And so the person who's helped me the most is my therapist.
Mhm.
She's great, and she's helped me so much like dealing with ADHD, dealing with bouts of depression,
Mhm.
um, you know teaching me how to like motivate myself when I'm not feeling super good. And I think like frankly, everybody should just go to therapy. Like regardless of if you feel, depressed or not, or if you think you need it, like you should go, because I think you will find that there is something for you that you need to work on that will really improve your life.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of like what you think personally, like these people are trained professionals and they will find something to make your life better. Yeah.
Yeah. With therapy and mental health, there's still a lot of stigma to it. And while we've been better, I firmly believe that mental health, going to therapy, it's just like going to the gym. It's like working a
It's
muscle.
just going to the gym.
It's like, how do you deal with the anger, frustration? How do you deal with disappointment, with the loss of a loved one, grief, in all things, whether it be losing the death of a person that's important to you, whether it be losing the ability to do something because you're so busy now, and then what you once thought was something that was going to be a part of your life forever now is something that you simply cannot do as much as badly as you want to. And these therapists, these talking about your emotions, and it's cathartic, and it actually strengthens you to live your best life.
Yeah, I think there's so much freedom in just like talking about it once. Even you don't have to keep bringing it up at all, like just like getting it out there and letting it breathe, and you know having it outside of your body physically is a huge burden off your shoulders. Even if even if it's like somewhere trapped in the back of your mind and you personally don't even know about it, it's just so transformative, like releasing that. And I think that's what people really misunderstand about therapy. They just think like you go to therapy because you're broken, and it's like, no, you go to therapy because you want to improve. But just because you're improving doesn't mean that you started from a bad place. Like, fit people still go to the gym, It's because they want to be more fit.
And not going to the gym, just stopping because they're already fit, will place them in a greater chance of becoming unfit and gaining pounds. And then eventually, if you neglect that side of you, you'll one day be too heavy, or a person that maybe not too heavy, but internally you don't feel as free as you once were. So I think talking about your emotions, if you don't have anyone, I think they go out there and release it, like in healthy ways. Because it's very, like, you can see it out in the world where there are people that are suffering and they are releasing it in very unhealthy ways that do harm other people, right? And I am a firm believer where if you do not let these emotions out, it's like shaking a Coke bottle. It's gonna just explode, and it's gonna be in ways that hurt your family and friends
and loved ones
and everything around you, and you could possibly lose everything. And no, definitely everybody out there, get therapy. Get therapy if you need it.
Sure.
There's always help out there. Have you encountered any setbacks in your educational journey, and how did you overcome them?
Oh yeah, I mean I failed out of those courses at McEwen, and I mean I just went to work. But that put me where I want to be. That put me on the path of life that I want to follow. And so now I see it as a blessing in disguise. And I think just changing your mindset around failures is important. That really helped me with that one. I think also just be kind to yourself, because you can have as I remember in an earlier episode you quoted Marcus Aurelius, and it was be strict with yourself but be tolerant of others.
Yes, I've had to internalize that, man.
Yeah. And I think being strict with yourself is really important, but don't be so strict with yourself that you're mean to yourself. Like if you don't meet a goal that you want, is it like if you didn't try hard enough or you didn't like put the effort in, then you weren't being strict enough with yourself. But if you did, then don't beat yourself up over it. Don't, you know, don't go into that negative self-talk. Like make sure that you analyze what you could have done better and what you're going to do different next time. But make sure that overall you are not, letting it drive you deeper into a hole. Like use it as an experience to build yourself up. And I think that's what's really important about failures in school. It's like learning from them and moving on, but using them to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Failure is not final, it is formative.
Exactly. And you know what? That's something we learned in education, that like when you make a mistake, that's not the end of the road. And it never is.
Keep going, and it's never, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And you just gotta like one foot in front of the other, and maybe you can't see it yet, but one day you're gonna be able to see it, and you've come this far, why quit? You've come this far, and that's all about life. And that's like, it's very morbid, but suicide is a very big problem.
Yeah.
And I've known many people, their loved ones. Thank God it hasn't happened to me. But there's a place for everyone in this world, right? And like I've felt all sorts of emotion of just being in the dark and feeling like the world is on my back and feeling hopeless and feeling like I think there's a point where I felt like I have blown my happiness area in the brain. I don't know. That's how I felt like. I thought, I've done it. I can't be happy anymore. This is it. Slept it off. The next day, I was fine. We get so bogged down into the overthinking. And you had said that to be nice to yourself, right? Whether it be you fail the test, you fail a class, you get scolded at work because you're being lazy. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep, so that's your excuse. Maybe you get in a fight with a loved one and you're thinking that that's it, that's over for you. You guys are never gonna rekindle. You guys are never gonna forgive each other. All these things, chaos, just chaos. And in your head, you're like, oh gosh, like I'm a piece of shit. Like I can't do anything right. And it's what you put in your mind. Like I read this one quote, it's like casting a spell. That's why they call it spelling. Casting a spell onto yourself. What you say, whether you call yourself stupid, whether you call yourself dumb, you repeat that 1,000 times. It's gonna come to life.
It's 100% true. Like you I think a really important part of learning from failure is don't avoid negative self-talk. That is so important because as like I think you said 1,000 times, I think even 10 times. Like it does not take much for you to start truly believing that you're dumb or you're a piece of shit or you're not worth anything. Like it's so quick and such a slippery slope.
Right. And I had a talk with my buddy Jack about that too, where maybe you do say that, because I was talking about a friend who did say he was stupid, right? And while I was kind of just analyzing that, I was thinking, okay, maybe he doesn't mean it. What if he does, right? And you could get this, like, when people say that, do they just say that as a joke? Oh, I'm being stupid, because you can be lighthearted about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Or you could say that and it could be part of your identity. And when it becomes a part of your identity, then that's when you start looking for this idea of self-fulfilling prophecy. Where, okay, I am fat, okay, I'm unhealthy, I'm ugly. Look for ways. And then we talk to people, oh, they're looking at my fat, looking at how ugly I am. And then next thing you know, you won't go outside. Next thing you know, you just get roped and you keep digging the hole deeper and deeper up until it's so hard to climb back up. And that's where people need to step in and help those people, because it is a very, very real thing. And mental health is something that people should not neglect, and we need to be there for our friends and family for when they are catapulted into that messy situation and they need a helping hand. What self-care practices do you implement to stay motivated at school and your personal life?
So I started bullet journaling.
Oh, dude, that's a great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have it's super disorganized bullet journaling.
Oh, but whatever works for you.
Whatever works. Like every night before I go to sleep, I have a to-do list that I fill out because you shouldn't look at screens in the first half hour or
Bro,
the last half hour
that
before
blue
bed.
light, man, as you get it messes
Yeah,
with your REM sleep.
messes with
Yeah.
your REM
Yeah.
sleep. And so for the last half hour, like I brush my teeth,
Mhm.
I change, I get in bed, and I check off, okay, what did I do today,
Mhm.
um, on the to-do list, and then flip the page, write what I still have to do, anything new that I have to do,
Mhm.
um, and I try to schedule everything, and I try to link things to
Beautiful.
each other. So I started working out recently again, and
Happy to hear.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
so um, during the school semester, I'd work out before class,
Mm-hmm.
go to class,
Mm-hmm.
come home,
Mm-hmm.
drink my protein shake, immediately into homework. Like that's all just one block of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after that it's a little more flexible. Like maybe I'll, have lunch or I'll play a game or something, but though that is a set block in my day and that doesn't change. Um and I think like connecting, working out to homework, um, and having that be a connected thing is like really important because I've been super motivated to work out lately, but I haven't been motivated to do homework. But when I, connect them and make them one thing rather than two separate things, then that helps me keep the motivation that I have uh, from working out to, I link it and I keep the motivation to do homework.
Part of your routine is going to the gym, then doing the specific thing, and you combine them
Yeah, yeah.
into your to-do list. And by doing this, you're augmenting the mind, so you make sure all the blood flows going, and so you
Mhm.
do that to prepare for studying, or maybe vice versa, right? And that's a good tool for you.
Yeah, that really works. Yeah, I think planning, I mean, structure is really important. So like now that I've started working, um,
Mm-hmm.
my days are super structured. Yeah, I
Yeah.
start at 8, end at 3. Um, I wake up at 5,
Mm-hmm.
work out, uh, come home, shower, go to work,
I love it.
and then after that I'm free. But like it's super structured and super clear, and I have I'm not like there's this thing called cognitive overload.
Yeah.
I'm not overloading my brain with like a list of things I have to do. If I have a list, it's in my bullet journal, and I don't have to like think about what's
True.
in there. It's just in there,
Mm-hmm.
and that takes some cognitive load off.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like trying your best to make sure you're not keeping so much in your head
Mm-hmm.
at once is a really good
Mm-hmm.
way to keep yourself focused. And for me personally, keeping myself focused helps keep myself motivated.
There's this idea of I became very obsessed with habits,
Yeah.
and at a point in my life, it was dark, and I needed structure. I needed a plan, and I started reading books, self-improvement books like David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, uh, How to Win Friends and Influence People, uh, had just Atlas Heart. There's all these things that would amplify, just improve, augment my well-being. And a big portion of the books that I've read are habit books. There's Tiny Habits that I've read, Atomic Habits, Power of Habits. And as you said, there's the idea of cognitive overload where there's too much. And it has been mentioned, I don't know if there's different sources, but 50-60% to our days are just habits. And we wake up and we do a certain thing without really thinking about it because we've done it so many times that it's just automatic. And to have that structure in your day where you do, okay, it's people say that it is sounds robotic and it sounds like it's taking away and it's chaining them down to habits, but actually habits improve your life.
Yeah, for sure.
They reduce cognitive overload, and so you can actually focus on the things that are creative, that are worthy of thinking about, instead of, okay, is my keys there? Is my, I need to make coffee. No. Same time every day. This is when you show up to the gym. This is when you show up to work. This is when you shower.
This is
yeah. And then when you don't have those days, then you're free, and you don't have to really think about your days as much.
Yeah, I think, building habits is super important. The problem is that it's, hard to build habits. It takes a long time. And it takes a lot of focus. And so that's where, like, doing things like bullet journaling, like, that's an easy habit for me because it's linked to having healthy sleep, right? And so I want to have healthy sleep so that I have a healthy day the next day. And so that's why I started bullet journaling. And then that became a habit, and that allowed me to build other habits. So your habits don't have to be single isolated points. They can build on each other. It's the collection of habits building that makes your life easier. It's not just, separate habits one at a time. They all happen together, and they all compound and make each other, they synergize and work together.
Great. Thank you for coming on the long-term podcast.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I was a little nervous I wouldn't make good radio.
No, you're great. Thank you for opening up about ADHD and just the vulnerability, and then talk about the therapist. There's definitely a lot of people that need to hear your message. And you're gonna be an amazing teacher.
Great. Thanks so much, Ed.
Yeah. But for all of you guys watching, thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you. There is a place for you out there in this chaotic world. Just don't give up. Keep going. And as always, keep it long term. Peace. Oh yeah.